Hi there, welcome to today's episode of our Health and Wellness Expo. Today I have the lovely Helen Willard with us from Enlighten Me. Hi Helen, how are you?
Oh, hi, Hazel. I'm great, thank you. Nice to
That's
be
good.
here.
Yeah, it's lovely to have you here. It's such a beautiful day and it's lovely to be able to connect through Zoom and have these conversations with people like yourself. So I know a little bit about you because we've met through the Venus Network, and so I've heard heard a little bit of your story. But there's plenty of people here that don't know you. So would you like to share a little bit about your story, what Enlighten Me is as a business, and what your passions are that drive you to have this business?
So Enlighten Me is life coaching and hypnotherapy. And I was first introduced to hypnotherapy through a friend of mine who gave me a book called The Journey by Brandon Bays. And she said to me, when you've read this book, let's get together and do the process at the back of the book. So we did. And I was absolutely blown away by the experience that I had with it. And, you know, we hadn't done any training. We just basically read through the process and did it with each other. And honestly, I was amazed at what was uncovered from that and what I learned and experienced. Like at that time, I was 34 years old and had an experience of unconditional love, which I'd never had before in my whole life. So that was just amazing. So I did a bit of research and found out that Brandon Bays was coming to New Zealand. And so I signed up for the workshop and went, basically. And I loved it. It was just, you know, learning all sorts of different hypnotherapy techniques and tools. She had a particular process which she worked with, which is why she called it The Journey, and met some amazing people through that. But what I got from that was I hadn't actually been aware of how my childhood had affected me. So I was 34 years old at the time. I was married, I had 3 children, and I was running my own business. So on the outside, it looked like everything, I had it all together.
Yep.
And I was totally unaware of how dysfunctional I really was.
I think we're all like that.
I was incredibly anxious, stressed all the time. I was often angry, you know, and blamed everyone else for that, didn't take responsibility for it. I had absolutely zero confidence and zero self-worth. I put myself last. And, you know, so it kind of made me suddenly aware of all the stuff that was inside of me that I had kind of ignored for so long. And so just to give you a bit of history, just of my background, growing up, my childhood was pretty traumatic. Dad suffered from depression and he was often, he'd fly into these terrible rages of violence and you know, be abusive towards mum and me and my brothers and not so much my sisters that I remember, but I could be wrong there. You know, we had a lot of, like I remember things like, you know, being smacked across the face with the back of his hand and my nose bleeding into my dinner and,
Oh, wow.
you know, sitting cowering in a corner being beaten about the head. So, you know, going back and revisiting some of that was pretty traumatic. But, you know, I just, you know, mum was, you know, doing the best she could. She had 5 children and she was doing her best to try to keep things under control and keep the peace. And even from that, you know, I learned a lot of things like, you know, being a people pleaser, being agreeable rather than speaking my mind. I grew up feeling, you know, the world wasn't a safe place, that I wasn't good enough, that there was something wrong with me, that, you know, I had to do as I was told. You know, all sorts of rubbish, really. But you don't really have much control over how you're programmed when you're a child.
No, you put a lot of coping mechanisms in there, don't you, just to try and protect yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I found through the hypnotherapy training was that it really helped me to sort of get to the root cause of a lot of these anxiety issues and anger issues, so that I could really clear that out and become a more functional person. You know, getting rid of that trauma, the painful emotions, the limiting beliefs, And I really felt like a new person. So that was, you know, between 2005 and 2010. So that made a huge difference in my life at that time. So I put it on the back burner and just carried on, you know, in my role as a medical herbalist. And then at the beginning of last year, 2019, I'd come back from the most amazing holiday in the French Alps, and I knew that my life wasn't right. I was just feeling out of sorts. I wasn't enjoying my business. Like I didn't want to be the person who was always doing the thinking and problem solving for my clients. I didn't want to be telling them what to do or not to do or what to eat or not to eat. I knew that how I was functioning in that role was wrong. It didn't feel right to me at all. And I also wasn't happy in my relationship. It wasn't going in a direction that I was happy with, because I felt inauthentic. I felt that I was being false. And I wasn't living life the way I wanted to. So beginning of last year, I started studying life coaching. And then I was offered an amazing opportunity through the WISE group to become a therapist working for them. So I jumped at the opportunity and I said, yes, I'll do that. So I closed up my business. They put me through online training with Marissa Peer, the RTT or Rapid Transformation Therapy. And then we also did clinical hypnotherapy with Justine Lett from Hypnosis New Zealand. So these gave me a whole lot of new tools, which I also combined with what I'd already done with Brandon Bays. And, you know, through the training, it also caused me to go through another growth spurt as well. So more stuff to work through on myself. And it was, you know, quite a big year, really. I loved the work that I was doing with clients. I was getting some really cool results. And it sort of reignited that love of how amazing hypnotherapy actually was. And, you know, it's not just changing the surface behaviours, it's actually getting to the really root cause of what's driving those behaviours. So over the course of last year, as I was going through my training, my marriage became intolerable, and that ended in the last half of the year. And that's all good. I'm happy with that. And then out of the blue in December, I was presented with a disestablishment proposal for my job, which just out of the blue, and it just really sent me into a tailspin, because, you know, I absolutely loved my job and I was good at it, and I thought I was doing really well. So I really couldn't understand how it sort of came to them just wanting to get rid of me that quickly. So, you know, over the course of December, January, February, I had to do another lot of, you know, really looking at myself and my life and what I actually wanted. And the conclusion I came to was that, you know, for whatever reason, God or the universe had put me into that job to take me through that training. And then just as quickly took me out of it again. And so it's like, well, obviously I'm meant to be setting that back in business again. So that's what I'm doing.
Good stuff.
And because, like, I'd gone through that whole fear of, you know, losing my job, being alone, all that sort of stuff through the last 3 months, this COVID thing hasn't really rattled me that much, because, you know, I feel I'm in a really good space right now.
That's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. So I can sort of understand what people are going through right now, because I've been through that, and sort of help people navigate their way through it. So what have I got? I've got some notes here. So I decided to set up this business doing the hypnotherapy and life coaching, because it just can really make such a huge difference to what it can do to help, you know, set people free from their limiting beliefs, their bad habits, their unhelpful thought patterns, their emotional states that keep tripping them up. You know, all sorts of things like that. It's actually really helpful to find out what's underneath it all and help find a new way forward from it.
Absolutely.
So, you know, personally, it's really helped me to actually feel more confident in myself, feel secure within myself, to know that, you know, that I'm loved, that I'm safe in the world, that and that I have a choice. And I think that's a big one for a lot of people, because, you know, there's a lot of people right now that are feeling trapped because they feel that they don't have a choice. but it's actually finding out what choices they do have available for them right now,
Yeah,
and what they can do rather than looking at what they can't. Yeah, so, you know, and it's an ongoing process for me, you know. I'm sure that there'll be a lot more to be revealed and work through as time goes on.
I think that's what self-development is, isn't it? Like, you think you make all these groundbreaking, you have these groundbreaking moments within yourself about all sorts of different things, and you're like, oh wow, it's so great to be free of those things, and you're going along and feeling great, and then you come across another one, and so you work through that, and then you know, and every single thing that you come across, if you're willing to face it and do the work to work through it, it doesn't own you. You know, you can own it instead and go, yep, okay, that happened to me, I've worked through that, and now I can be better as a result of understanding what that was, and it's no longer limiting me. So it's amazing. Self-development is just, it blows my mind. It really, really does. I've only been doing self-development on myself really for the last 16 months, and I've just been blown away by the changes in me, you know, like many people wouldn't notice, but what it's actually done to me, like I just think that power is of actually working and understanding yourself, and what makes you is super, super powerful. And you know, using accountability like what you have here can be super powerful.
Oh, it's absolutely amazing. And you know, the more people kind of uncover who they are and let go of who they're not, the more they can actually just feel comfortable in their own skin and be themselves and live life the way they want to, and let go of other people's opinions of them, and it just makes life a whole lot easier and a lot more enjoyable and fun, really.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
So that's where we're at right now.
Really cool. That's really cool. So do you incorporate with your Enlighten Me when you're doing, you know, using hypnotherapy and life coaching and things, do you still bring in your training as a medical herbalist and offer those services within, you know, for clients? Should they be looking for that stuff as well, or do you kind of keep them separate?
Well, I look at each person, you know, each person is different. And it depends on what they actually require. You know, every session that I do with someone is different. You know, I never know what to expect. I don't sort of have too much of a plan for them, because it depends what they show up with. And if nutritional, you know, if they need suggestions, I don't give advice anymore. I make suggestions. You know, if they want some suggestions of what they could do, what I could offer them in terms of herbs and nutrition, things like that, then I'm open to it. But I guess that's not my primary focus anymore.
That's cool. I just see your beautiful shelf there full of herbal tinctures behind you.
Gosh, I've still got a few clients who like to come and get their potions from me, and that's all good. And I want to kind of look after those people, and it's nice to maintain those connections and
maintain the connections. Absolutely. Especially when you've been known to people as a medical herbalist for, you know, a good length of time, and you know, you have that relationship of trust and knowledge and all of those sorts of things, that, you know, being able to continue to help those people is lovely as well. So that's really exciting. It's really, really neat. Like, you know, you say, you know, you just didn't know why last year what happened, you know, like, why did you get this job and then all of a sudden so quickly lose it again? And but if you're open to allowing to understand that and just see what happens, then, you know, it was obviously something that worked for you, you know, and it's put you back into this place of being empowered to have your own business with a whole bunch more skills in the area that you're interested in. So that's super, super cool. That's really, really neat. And you're based in Hamilton, aren't you, Helen?
I'm based in Hamilton, but because I can do sessions online, then, you know, basically I can work with people anywhere, really.
Well, that's fantastic.
And this isn't new to me, but it's something that I can do a lot more of now.
Absolutely. Well, our circumstances are certainly pushing us to do it, aren't they? They're sort of like challenging us to go, well, this is your option. So either either adapt and pivot into it, or sit in a space of, no change. You've got to make choices. And again, you spoke before about, being at choice, and this is a position of being at choice. Either you can sit in a space and worry about the job that you had that you no longer have and worry about that, or you can pivot away from that and go, okay, so that was what it was, what now? And look at opportunities and where those opportunities might present themselves. So yeah, that's really cool. So you're adapting then. You're working from home. You're quite used to it. You're doing the stay at home thing with ease.
Yeah, I have to say it is easier that I don't have young children at home. My kids are all adults now, so they're all out flowing the coop and living their own lives, which is wonderful. So that does make it a lot easier working from home, I have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. We've for the first week for me, certainly it was like, oh my gosh, my children are in my office, like, because I work from home, so it really felt like my husband had invaded my office and my kids had invaded, and then I was just like, you know what, actually I just need to, everyone just needs to work with each other, and it's actually become really smooth sailing. We are lucky to have in-laws right next door, so we have those extra adults around. So our bubble goes between two homes, so we do have the extra parent support around, so it makes being able to connect and be online and continue to operate and work for both me and my husband. He's in a critical role, so it makes it much easier, so we're very, very grateful for that. But I'm glad that my kids are at that 9, 10, 11, 12 age, that they're sitting in that space where they can be quite independent. A lot of the time I do really feel for those with children younger than that are either starting school or, and now you're trying to homeschool them, and it's back to basics and really one-on-one with them, or with little toddlers that you can't take to the park, and, you're limited to your back garden, like that sort of stuff, I think would be quite hard. And quite challenging on emotions and feelings and all of those sorts of overwhelm that come in those spaces. So yes, I'm very grateful for my space. But so you've adapted, and you're working with clients online, and you have people can book with you and do all that sort of stuff.
So yes, it's just easy to make a booking online and do a Zoom call, and so long as they have got somewhere where they can go and shut themselves away and have privacy, that's kind of what they need. So no, that works just fine. And because I'm still in the setup process, it's given me an opportunity to actually really focus in on getting a whole lot of the foundations put in place. Getting I got my logos they came through last week or this week, and my portrait photos that I had done, they've all come through, and so now I'm in the process of getting my website rebuilt. So
nice.
So that's my next project that I'm working on. So it's kind of actually given me an opportunity to actually stay put and focus on getting some of that foundational stuff done as well. So
because we're busy ourselves normally with going out and meeting and networking and doing all those different things, and all of that takes time. And that list of sort of admin side of things about getting your website sorted and all of those sorts of things, they kind of do get put to the side. So yeah, it's a great time to be doing things that aren't necessarily income producing, but in the long run they can be income producing. But it's stuff that we need to sort of scaffold our businesses. So
so it's getting those foundations in place, so that then, once this is, we're out of lockdown, then I can actually get out and about more and do more talks and things which I had been planning on doing. But this is great that you've got this online too. So
thank you. It's
getting
nice
out there somehow.
Nice way to just share lots of different wellness people in this wellness space, to share with as many people as need it. And hopefully these interviews will resonate with different people for different reasons, and just educate people that there's options out there, and there's lots and lots of natural options to help support your health and wellness.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's the driver for it, because I just my passion has really come into the health and wellness space, and helping people find that calm in their chaos, whatever their chaos happens to be, whether it's raising little people or trying to keep all the balls in the air, or going through marriage breakups, or whatever happens to be their chaos, helping them to find that calm so that they can keep their bodies well,
Yes.
physically as well
Yeah.
as mentally, and even in their businesses. So hopefully this will resonate with many across we've got the expo. So I really appreciate your contribution as well. Thank you, Helen.
So I've got a few tips if you want me to share.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
I thought would be useful for people.
That aren't quite so happy about being maybe sitting in a space of, oh my gosh, how do I pivot from where I am right now? Some tips. Awesome, Helen.
Yeah. So the first one is actually don't think too far ahead. Just try to stay present here and now. It's often when you think too far ahead that you start getting anxious and fearful and worried, because the future is always uncertain. But right now it just feels people are more aware how uncertain it is. So if you just focus on what's here and now, then you can handle that. Anyone can handle what's here right in front of them. Make a plan for each day and include some form of exercise or activity. Try to get outside when it is sunny, and days have been absolutely beautiful lately.
Oh, it's been stunning. It's been amazing.
Yeah. So don't, I know there's a lot of exercise classes and things online, but if you could get out for a walk or a bike ride or something like that, then that's going to be better for you than being in front of a computer screen all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree.
Yeah. Have some goals to work towards. I sort of did my 28-day plan of things that I actually wanted to get across the line by the end of the lockdown period. So, for some people it might be just, cleaning the house or decluttering. Mitre 10 was absolutely busy with people buying paint for painting rooms and things, gardening, but have a specific task to achieve each day to actually feel that sense of accomplishment. And, switch off from the news, because, that's actually, it's not going to change what's happening in the world, but it will change how you feel. So, the news is going to carry on, but you don't have to tune into it. So, you can choose what you focus on. And if you focus on the news and, what's happening in the world, then it's easy to become more anxious and overwhelmed. But if you choose to switch off from it and just, look at what you can take control of for yourself, then you're going to feel a lot better.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that, Helen, because we haven't watched TV since our eldest was 2. So we at some point when he was 2 and we had 2 babies as well, I just went, I can't cope with that being a distraction, and so we just turned the TV off. So I don't watch the news, none of that. And my husband's a big news reader, so he reads a lot. So I just rely on him to give me the top tips for the day, or top headlines, or he might message me a link to an article that he thinks I should read or something like that. But I prefer to support my positivity and support my my coping mechanisms for being in this through this uncharted time by not including that information. So I think it's really important, because it's too easy to sit and just be just all the stuff at us on whether you're looking on the socials or you're watching the news or reading the paper. There's just bad media sells, like people get drawn to that stuff, but then that then affects our bodies. So yeah,
absolutely. And I'm very much the same as you. I've never watched the news, and I've always gone by the expression that if the news is bad enough, someone will tell me. So
I completely agree.
that's always been the case. So other things that can be really helpful is breathing exercises, meditation and yoga. Things that are actually really helpful for getting you centered and calm. Even just 5 minutes of deep breathing can be amazingly effective, just to kind of bring you back into your center, to feel sort of not sort of scattered all over the place, but just here and now. be deliberate about who you choose to connect with. So, you know, in the beginning of the lockdown, I was being drawn into all sorts of meetings and chats and everyone, you know, all over the place. And it was doing my head in. So I actually had to choose which ones to attend or to engage with, and which ones to actually remove myself from. So I actually ended up muting a few conversations just because I was getting so many notifications that I wasn't able to focus and get anything done. So, you know, you don't have to be available to everyone all of the time.
That's a really important one, actually, because although we're all disconnected, it's so easy to connect, and there's that expectation that, well, you've got your phone on you, so I can connect with you right now. But then, like you say, you don't get anything done because your whole day becomes disconnected. So, you know, maybe it's, so like you were talking about, you know, have a routine, have a schedule for the day. It's like, okay, well, I'm gonna hang out on the socials from 9 till 10, and again from 2 till 3, or whatever it happens to be. But in these other blocks of time, I'm just going to actually turn off, or I'm going to be outside, or I'm going to be, you know, doing X, Y, Z, whatever it happens to be for your day and for where you're at. Because it can be all consuming. It can be very much all consuming, trying to be everywhere and trying to be at all the meetings or all the hookups or house parties or whatever people are organised.
So just be deliberate about who you're choosing to engage with and connect in with, and actually it's actually good for you. It's good for your mental well-being to actually spend some time alone anyway. So, you know, if you do get the opportunity to have some alone time, then go for it. I actually quite like my own company now.
So my introvert is quite happy right now, and my extrovert ensures that I still connect on the daily with some people.
I'm exactly the same. I have a balance of both. So, you know, I do like to be social and you know, have, you know, catch-ups with people, but I also like to sometimes switch off from people too. And my last point is, you know, use this time to make a difference. So, you know, it may be working on yourself, it may be working on your business, it may be working on your house, your relationships, a hobby. But if you can really think about an area of your life that you can work on to make better in some way, then you can really use this time to your advantage. And I think if we all do that and use our time wisely and deliberately, then we can all come out of this as much better, happier, healthier people at the end of it. I see this as, you know, potentially good thing. You know, it could be a really good thing for people.
That's wise words, Helen. I completely agree. It's like this time is a gift, you know, like, yes, there might be lots of other stuff, you know, economy wise and all of those things going on over there, but the circumstances are the circumstances, so use them to your best advantage. And I too, you know, like that's partly why I'm sharing this stuff, so people can know that there's other things out there and that they can do a lot of self-help or connect with people at this time to help themselves, so they can do some self-development on themselves, while, you know, it's stuff that we put aside because we're too busy, and that, you know, like you say, it's, you know, pick a project, something that you're going to achieve in this time, so that when you look back on this time from the future, you have some really cool memories of at that time. Although it was pretty weird and it wasn't what I was expecting or wanting, I actually got this out of it, and that was really, really cool. So it's a really wise word. Oh, that's good, thank you. So carry on.
I've made a recording, you know, self-hypnosis recording, so that, you know, sort of takes people through a bit of a process to help them to stay calm and in control, and you know, be able to handle this situation a whole lot more easily. I've given away so many copies of it, but if people do want a copy, I haven't attached it as a download to my website just yet. But if they could email me then, or send me a message through Facebook or whatever, then I can forward it to them that way.
So that's fantastic. We'll put your contact details, we'll put your website and your Facebook page connections down into the comments under this this interview, so that people can connect with you directly. So if people want to get a guided hypnosis recording to use at this time, that's a really simple way that they can start just using that modality to help them start working through things, maybe finding a calmer place. That's really fantastic. So definitely reach out to Helen, and through her contact details on either of those of the links that will be down below, and grab hold of that recording. That would be really fantastic. Thank you for offering and doing that, Helen. That's really, really lovely.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's always good to be able to actually help other people through something that I've already been through myself. So yeah.
No, that's lovely. And coming from a place of, you know, having that compassion and empathy for people because you've been through something certainly helps you being able to connect with people, and that's really lovely as well. That's great. Awesome. Thank you so much, Helen. It's been really, really lovely to chat to you, and I'm really glad to hear that you're doing really well, and that you're using your time wisely. It's always really interesting to hear what different people are doing with their time, and yeah, like, you know, not having children around is great, though they can be quite the distraction. I had a bit of overwhelm the other day because it's just like, oh my gosh, the house is just like, it looks like it's been turned upside down because there's just stuff everywhere. But it's like, okay, in reality, it's my office, it's our home, it's my office, it's my husband's office, it's my children's school, as well as their home, as well as their play space. You know, everything's happening on top of each other, and you just have to let it give, and you just have to step over things a few times. But there's only so far my tolerance will go for some of those things. I dare not look in my children's bedrooms at the moment. They'll set me off. So
that's a good idea.
Yeah, but thank you so much, Helen. I really appreciate your time. I hope people have enjoyed meeting you. And that's maybe some of the things that Helen has shared with us have resonated with some of you out there. Please do contact Helen directly if you would like to explore some of her services more thoroughly, and connect one-on-one. But thank you very much. I'm going to wind this up, and thank you again, Helen, for your time. It's been lovely, and hopefully plenty of people will connect with you. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Okay, take care, Helen. Goodbye.